What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at top teams for the Element Cup Little Edition. That means that Pokemon have to be below 500 CP to enter this league. Only Fire, Water, and Grass type Pokemon are eligible. And a unique thing about this little cup is only Pokemon that are able to evolve and have not evolved even once will be eligible. This is how little cups used to be. If you've been playing GBL for a while, this is a rule that used to be in place for all little cups, and they changed it at some point, and now that I guess they're reverting back. So let's take a quick look at the top 20 ranked Pokemon in this cup. But before we do that, a quick shout out to the 3 members on this channel, the 3 Legend Trainer members at that. Big Burden, Andrew Pitten, and Musachu. Huge shout out to those 3. Without further ado, let's look at these top ranked Pokemon. So we have Skrelp at the #1 spot with the buffed Acid. So already a buffed Pokemon at the #1 spot. Ducklet, which is a meta staple for all little cups. Carvanha, the Shadow, with Bite, which has Stab. So that's going to be a lot of fast move pressure, really glassy Pokemon. We've got Fomantis at #4 with the buffed Fury Cutter. We've got Pumpkaboo with Astonish, Foongus with Astonish as well. Frillish with the buffed Hex, Dewputty with the buffed Bug Bite. We've got another Pumpkaboo, another Foongus, another Pumpkaboo, another Pumpkaboo. Shadow Ducklet. We've got Shadow Lileep with Acid. We've got Binacle with Mud Slap, Ancient Power, and Cross Chop. Very cool Pokemon there. Litwick with Astonish. Carvanha again, Lileep again, Litwick again, and then Tentacool with Poison Sting and the buffed Wrap this season. So a few buff Pokemon in there, some meta staples. So without further ado, let's take a look at 10 top teams for this Element Cup. The very first team I have here is a triple water line. Of course, we've got 2 Pokemon in the back, though, that neutralize their grass weakness with their subtyping, poison and flying, respectively. They also use their subtyping's fast move, so they actually have a positive matchup into most of those. We've got Acid, which is super effective for grass, and then Wing Attack, which is super effective for grass. Based on the PvP Poke rankings, the Shadow Barboach is actually higher ranked. However, when I looked at the Sims, I think the non-Shadow with Mud Bomb and Ice Beam is actually the way to go. And that's what you're going to see on the right here in these Sims. It performs a little better against the top ranked Pokemon, and it provides good coverage. Aqua Tail just doesn't really hit anything in this meta. There's loads of grass, there's loads of waters, so both of those are resisted. And then the fire types, you already have Mud Bomb for. So it kind of doesn't seem like Aqua Tail has a purpose. It is the best damage per energy move, but you know what? We can drop that. Mud Bomb's pretty close. And I will say that, like, ground just does the job. So use Ice Beam, use the non-Shadow. I think that's the way to go. This is a extremely meta team. Let's take a look at the next team. The next team is a little bit more spicy. It's an ABC style team with pseudo fast move pressure, right? Slugma is very poorly ranked, and that's for good reason. It's outclassed in the fire department, just plain and simple. However, if you give this thing Rock Throw instead, suddenly it plays a whole lot differently. It's a completely different role. Suddenly it's a fire that beats Ducklet, Dewpider, other fires, and will still likely cause grass Pokemon to switch out when they see it in the lead, which would be a more neutral matchup because you're using Rock Throw. And the combination of like the Rock Throw on Slugma, the Shadow Bites on Carvanha, and Astonish from Pumpkaboo also puts in a lot of fast move pressure, which little cup Pokemon can't usually deal with all too well. So I think Rock Throw Slugma is actually going to perform a lot better than it might look in the Sims. That said, you're still going to have a bunch of bad matchups that you need to get out of, which is why we have 2 Pokemon in the back that deal with most of its weaknesses. The next team that we're going to take a look at is Fomantis, Binacle, and Litwick. This is another ABC style team. Fomantis is just a top meta threat, which is a mono-grass type. It needs 2 answers to fire in the back, which is why we have Binacle, which looks to be a really interesting core breaker with its Mud Slap fast move and then rock type defensive typing. And then it also offsets its water weakness with its water subtyping, which is really nice. And then Litwick, as an Astonish user, has neutral fast move pressure into opposing fire types, while also threatening grass types that Fomantis doesn't have coverage into. Then you have two Pokemon in the back that are weak to ground, but Fomantis resists and has super effective coverage into them. I have another team with Fomantis coming later in the video that is more of an ABB style team, if that's kind of your style. And then just Grass plus Binacle is just going to be a great core regardless of the team that you put it on. So the next team that we're going to take a look at is more on the core breaker side. We're looking at Pokemon that do well in the top ranked meta Pokemon, and the top ranked meta Pokemon are Skrelp and Ducklet. Both of them are water types that are weak to electric. So we're bringing out Chinchou. It's the only like viable electric in this meta. It's another ABC style team, but it is double water. Interestingly enough, the subtyping of both these water types means that they share no weaknesses. Chinchou as a water electric takes super effective damage from ground and grass, but neutralizes its electric weaknesses. Whereas Dewpider resists ground and is neutral to grass with super effective fast move pressure and takes super effective from electric. So kind of interesting there. And then Fungus just as your great neutral safe swap on this team, which also deals with opposing grass and ground types that Chinchou doesn't want to see. The next team that we're going to take a look at is an ABB style team where we have two grass types in the back and a water on the lead. Lileep is the safe swap, of course, for this team, meant to lure out any fire types that Ferroseed doesn't want to see. It has coverage with ancient power into those fire types, and it also has acid, which does super effective damage to opposing grass types, which makes it a really interesting Pokemon for this cup. It's also pretty bulky. We've seen that with Credility in the Great League. Something unique about the combo of Frillish and Ferroseed as well is that they both completely wall the rank 1 Pokemon in this cup, Skrelp. If you think about it, it's running Acid, which is resisted by Ghost on Frillish, and it's running for water coverage, which is resisted on Frillish as well. And then Ferroseed resists water with its grass type, and then because it double resists on Steel for Acid, it ends up being a net single resistance because Acid would be super effective on grass. So very interesting core between those two that where Skrelp has no play. The next team that we're going to take a look at is an ABC style team where both back Pokemon cover the lead's weaknesses. This is a little bit more on the spicier side, but Seel is an old meta classic from past Little Cups. It's got really interesting coverage because it has Lick for a fast move, and then Icy Wind and Aqua Tail for charge moves. It also has access to the harder hitting Aqua Jet if you wanted to run that, but it does prefer Aqua Tail for pacing, and most charge moves are going to do about 50% to every Pokemon in this meta anyways, so you don't really need that hard hitting charge move unless you're going to one-shot anything. That said, it is pretty bulky, and it only has two weaknesses in grass and electric. Unlike its evolution Dugong, it is actually a mono water type. So that's why we have Fungus in the back, which resists grass and electric as a grass itself, and then is neutral into them with Astonish and Body Slam, and then Numel in the back, which resists electric and has super effective Ember for opposing grass types. It also has Stab Bulldoze, which really layers on the Shadow Ember damage if you get the defense drop. So pretty cool ABC style team here of off-meta picks. The next team, I'll be the first to admit, is a little bit on the spicier side, and I probably wouldn't recommend it for climbing. However, Wooper is going to play very similarly to Barboach and works as a replacement if you don't have a Barboach. It only has one weakness, which is a double weakness to grass, so Wingull is a safe swap on this team. It takes neutral damage from grass, super effective on water, but resisted on flying, so it kind of neutralizes that there. It also has access to the reworked Air Cutter, which is pretty cool, and it has lightning fast pacing with quick attack. It actually, I think it's 5-4 pacing for quick attack to Air Cutter, which has the potential to boost your attack, making the next Air Cutter do increasingly more damage, which is pretty cool. It also works as an okay replacement for Ducklet, so we're kind of looking at replacements for this team if you don't have top meta Pokemon. And then I would say that PvPoke recommends Water Pulse with water coverage, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think it actually, what I noticed doing the sims is that it actually sims better with Ice Beam. So I think that's what you want to use here, and that's what you're going to see on the right. The last Pokemon on this team actually absolutely dumpsters grass types that Wooper doesn't want to see as a poison fire. It also, as a fire, plays more like a poison, allowing it to beat some pretty interesting Pokemon like Ducklet, Dewpider, Litleo. Like these are some interesting wins, but it's just because it plays more as a poison than it does a fire. The next team that we're going to take a look at, and back to the realm of meta, we see an ABB style line with 3 of the 4 top ranked Pokemon on one team, and yeah, they're meta for a reason. I mean, you can see it right down the Sims. This team, I mean, it doesn't mess around. It's absolutely ridiculous because Fomantis, it's weak to fire and other grass types because it has limited charge move coverage into those grass types. So we have 2 water types which resist fire in the back that are good into grass types in the back as well, creating a nearly perfect core. And just for the icing on the cake, the only water weakness that Skrelp and Ducklet share is electric, which Fomantis resists. And the only electric in this meta is Chinchou, which takes super effective damage from Leaf Blade and Trail Blaze. So this team, I mean, you're probably going to see it everywhere. It is the definition of meta, and it's very similar to the team that I showed with Barboach, except you're just using Fomantis instead. I believe the second to last team for this video, and back to the realm of Spicy, another team that I wouldn't really recommend for climbing, but one that has an interesting core breaker is Litleo. Litleo is unique because there are virtually no fighters in this meta. I mean, there are some Pokemon that have fighting coverage, but those are negative matchups anyways. I'd say the normal subtyping helps a lot more than it hurts in this meta, with the large amount of Hex and Astonish users, right? It even beats Frillish because it's running Nightshade, which is double resisted, and Ice Beam for coverage, which is single resisted, which means it's completely walled by Litleo. It also beats both the Grass Astonish users we have up there with Pumpkaboo and Fungus, which you're going to see a load of. And it also walls Litwick, which is going to be the most common fire type because it's the highest ranked fire type, and it beats all of the grass Pokemon it should beat. So very cool core breaker Pokemon here. I have just put together an ABB style team where you lure out a grass with Wilmer, you punish it with Litleo, and either run with boosted Incinerates and Flame Charge, or with Shellos in the back and save shields for that because you have good fast move pressure with Mud Slap there. But Shellos is a mono water type. It's not like Gastrodon, it's not like a water ground. The final team for this video that we're going to take a look at, and the reason I saved it for last, is because it's an ABC style line that really leans into fast move pressure. If you want just hard hitting damage and quick matches, this is the way to go. Fire Fang, Bite, Razor Leaf, they're all shadow boosted and have the stab bonus to do loads of damage that you'll either find you win super hard or you lose super hard, but all of the opponents are going to have both of their shields in play, and these matches are going to go super fast. This team can also be played really in any order, so just make it work for the meta that you're seeing. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.